Now this is exciting. 75 years after she disappeared, one of the world's great mysteries, the disappearance of aviator Amelia Earhart, could be solved. In Washington this week, US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton announced that a new clue in this enduring mystery may reveal the fate of the American flyer. Amelia Earhart was last heard from when she radioed that she was running out of fuel over the Pacific back in July 1937. Recent analysis of some photos taken shortly after her disappearance show what many experts now believe is the landing gear of a plane protruding from waters off a remote Pacific island. As Mike Woods reports, the discovery will now be investigated by researchers from the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, or TIGER.
A ship out o'er the ocean, just a speck against the sky. Amelia Earhart flying that sad day, with her partner Captain Noonan on the 2nd of July. Her plane fell in the ocean far away.
Amelia Earhart was a woman before her time who met an untimely end. She was the first woman to fly solo over the Atlantic and set many other aviation records. In what she said would be her last record-breaking flight, she disappeared during an attempt to circumnavigate the globe.
Only a short time ago, Amelia Earhart checked over every detail of her $80,000 flying laboratory in preparation for her round-the-world flight. This was to have been her greatest achievement, a sky dash of 28,000 miles.
The International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, or TIGER, has staged 6 expeditions to Niku Island in the Kiribati Group, believing that this was where Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, ditched into the sea, having run out of fuel. TIGER's executive director, Rick Gillespie, says independent experts have now studied a key photograph taken of the waters off Niku shortly after the aviator disappeared.
We asked our forensic imaging specialist to have a close look at it, and after a great deal of research, he said, I think it looks like the landing gear of a Lockheed Electra. And we thought, well, that's great, but you're our guy. You know, you've been great working with us for years, and you might be a little bit biased. So we'll ask for a second opinion. We'll get peer review. And we went to the U.S. State Department and said we'd appreciate it if a U.S. government photo analyst who has no interest in this thing take a look at the photo and tell us what you see. And they were kind enough to do that, called me in for a briefing, and said, well, we see the same thing your guy sees.
For years there have been theories that Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan survived the crash landing and made it to Niku Island, where they lived as castaways, possibly for months. For days after, radio distress calls were heard by both US military and civilian ships and aircraft in the area. And a Pan-American flight crew later reported seeing signs of human habitation on Niku Island, but simply believed it was inhabited by natives. Around 1940, a British Colonial Service officer reported that he'd found shoes belonging to a man and a woman and human remains on the island. Rick Gillespie says those remains were later lost and were never positively identified. But he says TIGER's recent expeditions to the island have found strong circumstantial evidence that may support the castaway theory, with the discovery of a campsite dating to around the time of Earhart's disappearance.
We're finding artifacts that speak of an American woman of the 1930s. Little broken bottles that contained hand lotion, and pieces of a mirror from an American woman's compact, makeup from that compact, a pocket knife, a bone-handled double-bladed jackknife of the same type that was aboard the Electra. So these are all tremendous, compelling, circumstantial evidence. They're not smoking guns, but it's clues that all point to the same conclusion.
Rick, if Amelia Earhart survived the crash and lived as a castaway on Niku Island, how long may she have survived?
What we're finding at the archaeological dig, evidence of a castaway who has worked out systems for surviving. This person knows how to catch fish, how to catch birds, knows how to get enough water, has worked out how to boil water. We've found 2 bottles that were standing in what had been a fire and a piece of wire that was used to hold the bottles upright. So somebody's appears to have been boiling water. So this person has found a good place on the island to establish a campsite, has worked out systems for surviving. That's an indication to me that this person has been there at least a matter of weeks, maybe a matter of months.
Tiger's Rick Gillespie and a team of scientists have been given the endorsement of the US State Department and have negotiated an exclusive agreement with the Kiribati government to stage the 7th expedition to Nikomororo. This time they'll take with them advanced scientific instruments to search the area of sea where the historic photograph purportedly shows the landing gear of Earhart's Electra on the surface of the water.
We'll sail from Honolulu on July 2nd aboard the University of Hawaii ship Ka'imika o Kanaloa. Everybody calls it KOK. Big oceanographic research vessel, 222 feet. And when we get there, we will map the search area with multi-beam sonar, create a very accurate undersea map of the area. Then we'll search the area with an autonomous underwater vehicle known as an AUV, equipped with side-scan sonar, very high-resolution sonar. And we'll be looking for suspicious-looking targets. Those targets will be checked out with a remote-operated vehicle, a tethered vehicle that has powerful lights, high-definition video cameras, and manipulator arms so we can move the coral a little bit if we need to see something. So we'll go with the ability to map, search, and identify. We have to establish that, yes, this is indeed what happened and where it happened, and that's what we're hoping that the search for the airplane will do.
Happy landing to you, Amelia Earhart. Farewell, First Lady of the Air.
Could the mystery of the disappearance of Amelia Earhart be on the brink of being solved? That was Red River Dave there with his 1939 song, Amelia Earhart's Last Flight, ending that report from Mike Woods. Now, this is